Changed. A collection of answers to 3 simple but powerful questions. 1. Describe yourself before the change. 2. Describe the moment of the change. 3. Describe yourself since the change.
Well, I grew up as a young man in Pennsylvania with very good parents and a great family structure. I had need for nothing, and I'm really blessed in that regard. A lot of people don't have that kind of upbringing, and so I realized that. But for me, that's what I had. And so I grew up in middle-class America, and I was able to have everything that I needed. But I always felt a little bit out of place. I was never in the in crowd. I was always on the outside looking in, struggling to be accepted by my peers. And I tried to do certain things just trying to fit in. Whether it was drinking alcohol or trying to smoke marijuana, I tried different things just trying to fit in, even though I didn't want to do those things. And so finally, at the age of 17, I decided I was ready for something different. And I went into the military just so I could get away and start my own life. I figured I needed a fresh start somewhere, because even though I had everything that I really needed, I was very empty and I was miserable and I was perverted on the inside. I looked good on the outside, but inside I was a corrupt vessel. And so I went into the Air Force, and for the first couple of years, I was there. I got sent out to the west coast of the United States, and any relationship I had with my parents kind of struggled at that point. And I began to lose relationship with them. And I fell into the wrong crowd. And so even though my parents were great and raised me a certain way, I began to do certain things that I never thought I would do. I got in trouble. I began to make a lot of really foolish mistakes. And I was still empty. I still was trying to find what is going on with my life. I didn't have any purpose. I didn't have any function. I didn't have any goals in my life that I really say, you know what, this is what I want to do with myself. I didn't have any of that. I didn't have any friends that I could trust and I could confide in. And I was just really miserable. I felt like something was missing. And then someone up in Utah, where I was stationed back in 1978, they invited me out to church. And it was right before I was going to move down into Arizona, and I considered going, but I didn't go. But I realized now, looking back, that maybe God was trying to get a hold of me, trying to get my attention. Well, then I ended up coming down here to Arizona, and I was married. I had met a girl up there in Utah, and I came down here, and I found out that the whole time that we had been separated because of our assignments, she had been unfaithful and been with another person. And so this was kind of like the final straw. And I was sitting there. I remember sitting at work my second day in Arizona and just feeling crushed, feeling empty. And that's the position I was before the change. I just was empty, void of any kind of meaning in my life, perverted on the inside. And I looked decent on the outside, but inside I was corrupt as a rotten apple. I went out to this music scene with this other young man where they just presented the gospel for the first time that I had heard it. And I remember sitting there, and I was surrounded by all these people. And they were just happy as could be. And I was like, what is going on here? I had never seen anything like this. It was a little intimidating for me because I wasn't sure what I was getting myself into. It just seemed like, okay, this is weird. Why are all these people so happy? This can't be real. And they made an invitation to me and asked me if I would like to accept Jesus Christ into my heart. And even though I had grown up with some religion in my life, I had never heard this gospel message like this. It was so simple. And it was geared directly towards me. It was like, you're empty. I have an answer for you. You're void. I have an answer for you. You're corrupt. I have an answer for you. And I thought, it can't be that easy. And yet, I thought, why not try it? All it is a prayer. And so I did that. I went up and I prayed and I asked Jesus Christ to come into my heart. And I remember sitting there in this little broken down adobe building, and I just had this immense joy that came over my life. It's like I had this weight, this emptiness. It was gone in a moment. I can't explain it other than that. And so I knew right then, no matter what anybody said to me, that was real. It was powerful. And that was the moment when I gave my life to Jesus. That was the moment I was changed. And here I am, going on 40 years later, and it's still real to me. But that was the moment that I was changed. I can't say that since that time, I have been 100% correct in all my decisions and the things that I have done. I've made a lot of mistakes. I am a flawed creature after all. But that from that moment on, my life has been different. There has been a quality of life. There has been a fullness, a joy, and a contentment in my life that no matter what happens in my life, I still have that joy and contentment. And I know God has His hand on my life. I can't say that I've done everything I should have done, but I know God always has. Where I have not been faithful, He's been faithful. Where I've been inconsistent, He's been consistent. He has been my everything. And so now here I am all these years later, and I think back to that moment, and it's as real to me today as if it happened yesterday. I can still feel sitting there and feel the change in my life and the decisions that I made after that. From that moment on, everything's been different in my life. And so now I have a consistency and I have a blessing in my life ever since that moment, from that change, where now I'm walking with God, and it's only because of His blessing and because of His faithfulness in my life, nothing because of what I've done. My name is John McClune, and the date that I was changed was August 29th, 1980.